This strange nightlight isn't a nightlight at all, but it has a rich history. What we have here is something I just cobbled together. This is the base to a nightlight that takes a candelabra-style bulb. It's got a switch on it. It has not only yellowed but goldened. How and why? Maybe years of UV exposure in the window. I don't know. It's not polarized. I don't think it really has any information. It was from a dollar store. I think it used to have like a sunflower, a ceramic sunflower looking thing. It was kind of a nice nightlight, but didn't really fit my decor. I actually only bought it for the bases like that. And this is your standard issue, or at least what was standard back in the day, Fight Electric CFL bulb that has a candelabra style base. So let's see about some information on that. Let me get my little headset on and I'll see if I can see that with you. Caution, risk of electric shock. Do not use where directly exposed to water. Not for use with dimmers. That's, okay, sure didn't do that. Nope. Contains mercury. Contains mercury? Oh no! We're all gonna die! I just touched it! Dispose according to local, state, or federal laws. 17-7-03W. Does that mean 2003? No, it doesn't. Fight Electric, BPE, SL7C. AC 60 hertz, 110 milliamps, and is that 7 watts? It's rubbed off. 7 watts, 9 watts, whatever these things were. But like I said, it has a rich history, and the reason why is many years ago I used to have these exact bulbs in my outside lights. Now I have two of the same fixture, one by the front door, one by the garage door, and each of them take 3 candelabra style bulbs. And I realized that as much as I would like them to be incandescent, I didn't want to be burning, oh, I don't know, 40 watts in each one, so that would be 120, 240 watts, plus the post light, which could take, I don't know, maybe another 300 watts. I didn't want to be burning that kind of electricity overnight for light that I'm never going to see. So I went CFL, and CFL is certainly acceptable. And I had this, and this was working, and there was nothing wrong with it, until one day it stopped working. I don't know why. It just didn't light up anymore. It looks maybe a little blackened or something like that, but it just stopped working entirely. So I said, okay, and I don't know how, why, where I had the presence of mind to screw it into that thing, but I did. And in doing so, and it doesn't stay because, as you see, it just pops out of the threads because there's really nothing holding that. Maybe that screw is loose. I could try tightening that, but it should be good enough for our purposes here. I made, and although it'll sit a little crooked, I made the world's weirdest looking nightlight. It's actually not that weird. It's actually kind of cool. And you're saying, why the hell would you do that with a bulb that was burned out? And I wish I had an answer to that question. But I don't. So that's going to wrap this video up. Thanks so much for... What? No, no, no. It doesn't end there. Took this bulb out of service because it didn't work. And I did this, and now suddenly it started working. Perhaps it wasn't making a good enough connection in the outdoor light socket. I don't know. It was old. It was aged. It had plenty of hours on it. But I had it bumming around in the house, and I made a night light like that. And I actually used to use this in the kitchen until one day we had that little pesky thing. I know it was just a passing thing. It really didn't count to, amount to anything. It was just called Hurricane Sandy. Nobody really ever heard of it. Yeah, it was fucking devastating. Okay, we were without power for 9 days, and other people were without power for 2 weeks, and some were without power for even a month. Some didn't have a home to come back to, and as far as FEMA, they're like, what's that? That's another story entirely. Anyways, it came around, and we needed some form of light during Hurricane Sandy. And I used this very bulb in this very configuration, plugged into a 12-volt power inverter. I can't remember what the power output on that inverter was. It might have been 400 watts, maybe 700, something. It's around somewhere in the car. It's in the car. I know it's in the car. I didn't need such a beefy one, but that's what I had, and that's what I used. So basically, the inverter was hooked to the car battery, and out of the inverter ran a big, heavy orange extension cord. Not that there was really any wattage being plugged into it, but a heavy orange extension cord that ran in through the big garage door, then through the man door, into the house. And then I plugged in one of those tap things that gives you 3 outlets on it. And plugged into one was a clock. Plugged into another was a radio. It would have been better if I had a clock radio, but I didn't really have one at the time that was handy or worked or something. So there was a clock and there was a radio, but it's okay because you could shut the radio off and just have the clock burn, power. And for light, that was it. So this used 7 watts, 9 watts, whatever it is, something. I don't know. Allegedly, it still works. But this was our sole source of light for about 9 evenings, 8 or 9 evenings. I have not turned this on in many years. This lives, ironically, on top of my toaster in the kitchen, because, like I said, I used to use this as a night light in the kitchen. Of course, with this plugged in and a little guy sticking out, it ain't going to stand up anymore. So we're going to just go like that. Does it still work? Why, yes, it does. There is an imperfection of some kind in the glass. I don't know why. Everything else looks okay. It's dim. It's too bad it doesn't stay standing up. Maybe there. Oh, looky there. We got it. Perfect. Let me shut the room lights out now. And there we are. It's going to need a little time to get to full brightness, as you might expect. It's getting there. It's working on it. But we're just going to come back in a couple of minutes, and then it should be. And we're right about 5 minutes later, and it's at full brightness now. It's not a lot of light. It's just not a lot of light. Oopsie. It's not a lot of light. But that's what these were. It does put out a very nice quality of light. It's a nice warm white. all around pretty nice as far as that goes. And I ran these bulbs for years, and the only reason I stopped using them was because they became somewhat unobtainium. They just didn't make that kind anymore. You had a hard time finding them. Even though you could still buy CFLs, you couldn't buy these. They just stopped making them. Now it's LED. You have to go LED. You have to go LED. There's talks in 2025 that incandescents may make a comeback once again for a couple of years. That's great. Still not running incandescents out there. So I had to go LED. And I had 2 videos on that. But it ended up working out in the fact that it doesn't matter if it's incandescent or CFL outside, because like I said, I don't really spend much time out in the front. The only time I'm going to see the light out front is if I happen to glance out the window at night, or if I happen to get home after dark and the lights are on. How long am I basking in that LED light? Not very long. I can tolerate that. That's it. But these were nice when I used to have them. And yes, we can make this a night light indeed by plugging it in over here. Now it's going to sit crooked because that's how it is. We'll undo that. Turn that on. Yep. And it doesn't look like much from where you are because of how bright. But now you can get the general idea. But it is just kind of, I know it's crooked. I know it's crooked. That's because of the transformer. But it's just kind of an interesting torpedo in that sense. Just like that. And in the broader sense of things, take a look at how much light for a night light that you can, and we did use as such, you know. So this was during Hurricane Sandy. This was lighting up the entire living room, and it was not enough light. It was enough to, you know, see enough, but it wasn't enough to read by or anything like that. It was just there, and it got us by. So it has a special place and such. It sits as a nightlight, and I don't know anywhere else to put this thing anymore at all. And I haven't used it because I have a beautiful salt lamp nightlight in the kitchen now with a nice incandescent in it. So this is no longer needed, yet still lives on the toaster, so we can continue to toast the base of this and get it to a more golden brown color, as if it's not already gone there. And I can also leave it in the window like it used to be before then, and hopefully that will brown it even more. Maybe one day it'll turn brown entirely, and then it'll look right, except for the switch, which doesn't yellow at the same rate because it's probably made out of a different kind of plastic. I'm going to try tightening that screw and see if that helps anything. Probably not, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to do that. And then I'm going to go place this back on the toaster. You can see how it just keeps spinning around and clicking out because something's wrong, or this is just crap, or I don't know. But it definitely worked as a night light, and that was that, and it's still here and still works today. And that makes it pretty cool in my book. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.